ready for university life, and quickly discovers that this electronics major she picked with zero concept.
Let me guess, it was hard.
Academically brutal, heavily based in math and physics, the very subjects she'd wanted to escape after high school.
Oh, no.
She lists the courses. Advanced math, like same level as the math department, linear algebra, engineering math, digital circuits, analog circuits, C++ biz, assembly language, signal systems, control systems, engineering drawing.
Okay, yeah, that's a serious workload, especially if you weren't expecting it or feeling super confident in those areas. What a shock.
Her initial feeling, she says, reflecting on her Gaokao scores and maybe the reality of this major, was a sense of self-abandonment.
Oof, that's heavy, like feeling defeated before you even really start. I can see that.
But then she had this key realization about her classmates. A lot of them are also brilliant, Maybe it was their second choice too, or they just chose not to leave Guangdong province.
Ah, so she realized she wasn't alone in maybe not getting her top choice, but she was still surrounded by really capable people.
Exactly. It shifted her perspective, helped her move past her own Gaokao disappointment and see the high caliber of the place she'd landed.
That's a crucial shift. So how does she describe her university years overall?
She boils it down to 3 keywords. First, information explosion.
Makes sense. Moving from a rural village to a massive city like Guangzhou.
Huge cultural leap. Plus, the language barrier, her dialect versus Mandarin and Cantonese, the climate difference, and just the sheer diversity of classmates from all over China.
Constant shocking moments, she called them, like information overload.
Totally. And that leads directly to the second keyword, free exploration.
Okay, how so?
All those shocks made her realize how much she didn't know. She felt like a blank slate.
Uh,
So her priorities shifted dramatically.
Away from just academics?
Yeah. She decided she needed to explore, to understand the world, become a more well-rounded person. She consciously lowered the priority of her major studies and sleep.
Wow. And she really went for it, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. Over 3 years, she joined or founded 18 student clubs and organizations, led 8 of them, participated in tons of research competitions.
That's incredible energy. A deliberate strategy to use university for broad personal development alongside this tough technical degree. That blank slate feeling really fueled her.
And the third keyword, which kind of underpins everything, poverty.
Ah, this wasn't just being a broke student, it was more serious.
Much more. She mentions the annual accommodation fee, $1,500. Her parents couldn't fathom it. They compared it to others paying under $400 back home.
So asking for living expenses was really difficult.
Incredibly tormenting, she says, because of their complaints, their lack of understanding of the costs in a big city.
That financial strain must have been constant.
It was a primary driver. It pushed her constantly, hunting for scholarships, grants, any on-campus work study, off-campus jobs, anything to support herself.
And even with all that, she says she lived very frugally.
Sometimes struggling on the verge of not having enough food. For 3 years, until she started interning.
Wow. It just shows how financial necessity can really force you to be resourceful, but also the immense pressure it adds to everything else, the studies, the social adjustment.
So, moving towards the end of university, the what's next question starts looming.
Right. She saw seniors planning careers.
Yeah, in her sophomore year already. So she started thinking grad school or get a job.
Planning ahead again.
She decided not to go straight to a master's. The reason, purely financial.
Lack of economic strength, she put it. Needed to earn money fast.
Exactly. She had this idea maybe she'd study abroad later, like for an MBA, after saving up.
Okay, so practicality won out again. But that decision had consequences for her undergrad studies.
Big time. It meant she had to cram all her required course credits into her sophomore and junior years.
Just to free up her entire senior year for internships.
Yeah, adding even more pressure to those already packed years of exploration and, well, survival. Very deliberate planning.
And she learned something important during a summer internship.
After junior year, yeah. She realized just how hard it was to keep up serious academic study while working intensely.
A real-world lesson probably solidified her plan to focus just on work in senior year.
And here's where her drive just seems off the charts. She worried she'd lose the energy or discipline to study for grad school years down the line after working.
So what did she do?
During her senior year, she simultaneously interned full-time, wrote her graduation thesis, and prepared for the GRE exam.
Wait, all at the same time?
All at the same time.
That is an almost unbelievable level of multitasking. Working, finishing her degree, and prepping for a future application years away.
It is
discipline. Wow.
So after being this super active, visible person on campus for 3 years,
She kind of vanished.
totally disappeared, she says, just focused on those parallel tracks. Her graduation was apparently super quick, understated, said her goodbyes, cleared her dorm right after the ceremony,
And then?
flew to Beijing the very next morning for TOEFL classes to keep the study abroad prep going.
Wow. Just bam. Next step. No messing around. Very focused.
Her first proper job break came through an internship
Yeah.
in the internet industry.
Yeah, as a product manager, which is what she's been doing now for, 10 years?
Yep. That first internship was clearly pivotal, launched her career.
She shared a couple of internship interview stories from junior year, too, didn't she?
Tencent was mentioned elsewhere. Then P&G, the market department management trainee role. She called it a dream company for top seniors. Failed the English written test.
A setback. Happens to everyone, right? Even with all that drive. Didn't stop her overall.
And the third interview story, IBM in Guangzhou.
Okay, what happened there?
The HR person asked this icebreaker question. What was your most profound experience in Guangzhou? Seems simple enough,
Yeah.
but it triggered something deep. She just broke down crying.
Oh, wow. In the interview.
Yeah, and confessed for the first time ever to a stranger this immense guilt she carried about her father.
What about him?
The night he dropped her off at university,
Mm-hmm.
he slept under an overpass because he had nowhere else affordable to stay.
Oh, my God. That's heartbreaking. And she'd been carrying that guilt all this time.
Apparently. It reveals this hidden emotional weight beneath all the activity, the striving, the financial struggle. That simple question just tapped right into it.
The core emotional truth of her experience there. Wow, I can't imagine how hard that must have been to share, especially then.
The HR person was comforting, she said, but yeah, the interview kind of ended there. It really underscores the profound impact of those financial struggles, not just practically, but emotionally.
Deeply. Yeah. On her family, her sense of self.
So looking back at everything, she was asked, the time machine question.
Yeah.
What would you tell your past self?
Okay.
To her high school self, that very stubborn tomboy, living frugally, she'd just hug her and say, it's going to be okay.
Simple reassurance, acknowledging the pressure, validating the struggle.
And to her university self, the very active, dark-skinned girl, still living frugally, she'd pat her shoulder and say, it's okay not to be okay.
That one hits different, doesn't it? Speaks right to those internal struggles, the self-abandonment, the poverty, the guilt, even while she was achieving so much outwardly.
Yeah, giving permission to feel those hard things, recognizing the immense challenges just beneath the surface.
So thinking about you, the listener, hearing this, what are the big takeaways? What can you pull from Chelsea's specific path?
Well, first off, just sheer resilience, right? That strict school, the poverty, the academic curveballs, the culture shock, her ability to just keep pushing through is incredible.
Absolutely. A masterclass in persistence. And it really highlights the value of exploration beyond the main path. Even with no money, she prioritized broadening her horizons, becoming well-rounded through all those clubs and activities.
That wasn't secondary for her, it was core.
And her story is such a stark reminder of how money, or the lack of it, shapes life choices. Dictated grad school plans, fueled the constant hustle for work, added that huge emotional burden.
It shows the lengths she went to just to get independent.
And ultimately, I think it reinforces the power of just taking ownership. Even with bad info, imperfect choices, huge obstacles, her perseverance, her drive to make her path work, that's central.
Yeah. And thinking back to why this interview was even done for high schoolers facing choices, this kind of raw, unvarnished story adds such a unique perspective.
Definitely expands the imagination about the different ways a life can unfold, doesn't it? It's not always linear or perfect.
What an arc, though. From that village, the military-style school, driven by need and ambition, fueling all that exploration, carrying that emotional weight.
All the way to a successful tech career in New York. It's a testament to drive, adaptation, resilience, all of it.
So as we wrap this deep dive up, here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over. Think about the toughest constraints in your own life right now. The things that feel like limitations, like obstacles holding you back.
Right. What if those very challenges, maybe paradoxically, are actually fueling a deeper drive in you, pushing you to explore paths you wouldn't have otherwise considered, revealing strengths you didn't know you had?
What unexpected opportunities might your current struggles be, maybe secretly, opening up for you?